Assalamualaikum. Welcome back to another episode of Inspiration Talks. I'm very excited about today's episode. I have a very special guest all the way from India who is not only a reputed academician but also one of the internationally acclaimed inspirational speaker. And she's also awarded as India's top 50 women leaders in the education industry. So before any delay, let's welcome Shauli. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you so much for asking. And it's absolutely a pleasure to be here on this platform today.
First of all, thank you so much for being part of Inspiration Talks. And surely I would like to start out today's conversation with your childhood. Let's revive some childhood memories first. So, where were you born? Where did you grow? What did you study? Can you tell a little about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So, I had been born and brought up in a place called Kolkata, which is in West Bengal, India. So, I had an extremely, supportive parents, and it was a very, very well-knit. It was not a joint family. It was a very well-knit nuclear family setup. I had my parents living with me. I had my grandparents and also my elder sister. So, well, it had been a very, very, I would say, wonderful and a fantastic childhood, which I had. I'm extremely blessed to have a childhood like that. And yes, I graduated from St. Xavier's College with a major in English. I did my master's in English, thereafter did my PhD in English as well. And well, then I entered into the profession of teaching, and now it had been almost 23 years that I have been associated with the sector of education.
Okay, that's great to know. So did you have any favorite subject when you were a kid?
I remember being very, very fascinated with literature. So I was quite inclined towards literature, English literature in particular.
Okay, that's great to know. So any favorite unforgettable memory?
Well, there are so many. I mean, it's very difficult to pick and choose any one memory from childhood.
You can describe one a little bit.
Well, there have been numerous instances where, we used to have sweet fights between the two sisters. My elder sister was just 3 years elder to me. And we were the best of friends. But at the same time, we had numerous fights between us. And then we would, maybe for hours, we would stop talking to each other, will not see each other's face. But then it wouldn't continue for long because we were very close to each other. And then we really had difficult time, without, being connected with each other. And then we would make up and everything would be all right. So just a very simple, a snippet from my childhood.
Okay, so surely, were you afraid of anything when you were a kid or right now?
Yeah, as a kid, I was afraid. I still remember being afraid of lizards.
Okay.
Well, now, no. I literally am not. I cannot figure out. I cannot tell you whether I'm afraid of anything because I don't feel that I'm afraid of anything.
Okay, that's great to know. So when you were little, what did you want to be?
Quite interesting because when I was in grade 6, since that time onwards, I always wanted to be a teacher. And, as a child, I remember, acting like a teacher, behaving like a teacher. And there would be so many dolls in front of me, and they would all be, puppet toys and students for me, and I would teach them with a ruler in my hand. I still remember those incidents. So I always wanted to become a teacher.
So how did you decide, as you wanted to be a teacher, so for that reason, you ended up your career in education?
Well, precisely, yes, to begin with, because I believe each and every child, they have a kind of a dream or an aspiration to become something.
Yeah, that's right.
And at that point of time, they hardly know as to why they would like to become, because it's basically because they were just fascinated, or maybe they had been inspired by some teachers in their lives. and hence they would want to become teachers, but without a very great thought as to why they would like to enter the profession of teaching. But for me, when I entered the profession of teaching, thereby, um, started understanding a whole lot of things that were happening in the field of education, which were not quite right. And the more I was into the system, the more I realized that this cannot be the way education should be delivered to the children or to the learners of tomorrow. And thereby, it was a conscious decision on my end that I would evolve into a kind of an educator who would consciously bring about a lot of difference around me.
That's great to know. So, Shauli, what has your journey been like?
The journey had been quite a wonderful one. 23 years of journey. You see, it's a long journey. Started with a lot of dreams and aspirations. Initially, there were a lot of frustrations because I never expected that this would be something like this. Because I had a very, very different conception of a very fanciful conception of what teaching should be and how education should be delivered. And when I was into the system, I could not find any link between what I had imagined and what I was into.
Uh-huh.
And after that, as I was telling you, that I had taken a lot of conscious decisions. Say, for instance, when I set up the first STEM school in West Bengal, India, that was a milestone in my career. That was a turning point in my career. And yes, there had been a lot of ups and downs, but I still feel that I have a lot of things to achieve. I have a lot many things to do in this particular field of education. Considering that there is a need for people who are passionate about education in this world. And I feel that I have many things to contribute.
Okay, all the best for your goals, and I really hope to see you more in a bigger place. So, Shauli, as your director of Adama University, so can you tell a little about it? Like, how did it all start, and what were your responsibilities that time, and what about now?
So, in my last 23 years of my professional journey, I had been the principal as well as the founder principal of some of the reputed international schools in West Bengal, India, some of which had actually been founded and established by me. Like STEM World School, which happens to be the first STEM school in West Bengal, which was eventually awarded for being the second best international day school in the entire West Bengal region of India, which also happens to be my brainchild. After spending more than 2 decades in the field of school education and leadership, in the year 2020, I stepped into the domain of higher education, where currently I am the Director School of Education at Adama University in India.
Okay.
And as the Director School of Education, my primary role and responsibility is to take care of the field and the domain of teacher education and teacher training. So currently, my students are the ones who come to us to do their bachelor's in education or their master's in education or their PhDs in education. So my role is precisely as a mentor, as a guide to them, because they are going to be the future teachers of tomorrow. So I believe currently I have a very, very important role to play in shaping and nurturing the future teachers of tomorrow, who would in turn be responsible for nurturing the entire destiny of our nation and in fact of the entire world.
Okay, that's great to know. So I would like to ask, how important is education according to you?
Extremely important, but it is more important to understand what is true and real education. Formal education is not the definition of true and real education. True education is something which prepares a human being for life and not for any examination. So the way in which education is going on, it's basically preparing the children to face the examination, to write the examination, to score good marks, and to get certificates in return. That is a very, very narrow definition of education. Education, in the true sense of the term, is something which would actually prepare you for life.
Okay, that's right. So from here, another question arises. With so many ways of making money in today's age, young people are focusing more on social media rather than focusing on education. So what are your views on this?
Well, I look at it in a very different way. I mean, for me, social media is not a big problem. And in fact, if it is used wisely and judiciously, I don't see any problem in that. Social media can also help in a lot many ways. It's a great tool for connectivity and to create your network. Now look at yourself and myself. So we have been connected through social media, right? And today we
That's
are
right.
talking to each other. So don't you think that's a wonderful tool to explore connectivity and to establish network? But it all depends that how you're using it. If you're using it for some purpose which will actually not be viable and feasible for you in the long run, well, then you are wasting your time and energy. But then if you're using it judiciously, I don't see any point why we should avoid social media.
Yeah, I completely agree with the point which you said. So, Shauli, how's your career progressing right now? What struggles did you face where you are today?
A lot of struggles, a lot of obstacles, a lot of stumbling blocks, especially when I was about to create the first STEM school in West Bengal. So definitely it was not at all an easy task for me.
That's right.
So there had been a lot of oppositions because I was trying to do something which was actually moving away from the traditional way of education. I was trying to create something new. I was trying to create a different kind of an education system. And people had very less faith in that kind of a system because they were quite apprehensive about the future of such kind of an education because when it comes to education, you see, people have very traditional and they have very blocked and resistant mindset. So yeah, I had a lot of struggles and challenges initially. Not to say that I'm not facing them right now, and that life has become extremely easy and smooth.
That's
I
right.
believe that when you work with a purpose, when you work with a sound intention, and when you try to create a real difference in the way in which you would like to see something, uh, nurture in front of your eyes, you have to face challenges which are actually inevitable. But those challenges should not deter you from not moving ahead. Those challenges should actually give you a lot of spur, should give you a lot of trigger to continue with the mission with which you have started.
That's right. To achieve something, one has to work a lot. So, as you are a global thought leader and internationally acclaimed inspirational speaker with more than 23 experience, and you are also awarded as India's top 50 women leaders in the education industry. So, how did you feel about it?
Well, how did I feel about it in the sense? The entire thing can be summed up in a sentence, maybe.
Mhm.
But for me, it had taken 23 years to achieve
That's
these
right.
positions and titles. So
Yeah.
for me, it had been a long journey. It had been a journey uh, almost like a roller coaster ride, a lot of ups, a lot of downs, highs and lows, and pleasant experiences which were not that pleasant. So it had been a mix of a lot of things, but amidst everything, one thing is very clear that I have learned a lot. I have learned a lot. I have experienced a lot. And I feel that today I'm a much, much better person and I'm a much empowered person for all the mistakes and for all the experiences, good, bad, whatever I had in my life.
That's great to know. So now let's move towards, let's imagine and inspire. So surely if you get a chance to win lottery ticket, for example, infinite amount of money, how will you spend that money?
Well, I haven't thought about it, but
Okay.
well, definitely one thing is there in my mind.
Yeah.
So I would definitely try to create a kind of a school which will be a very, very different kind of a school where education would be, uh, you know, the way in which education would be delivered would be very, very different. So it would be a kind of a dreamlike institution, a dreamlike school where children would be so happy, children would be so satisfied and fulfilled rather than being stressed out to sit for the examination and to perform. So I would like to create an institution, I would like to create a school which will be a very, very different and a very, very progressive looking school.
All the best for it. So if you get a chance for time machine, would you prefer to go in your past or in your future?
Neither. Neither will I go to my past because that's of no use. Neither will I worry and stress myself and, would like to travel into my future. I would rather like to be in my present and I would like to enjoy the present moment. Because if I can do that, I believe the future, in any ways, it's about to come. Why should I
Yeah,
rush?
that's right. I completely agree with your point, which you said. So, surely, if money wasn't a factor, if money wasn't an important factor, then how would you have spent time?
So, uh, even now, I mean, I spend a lot of, in spite of so much of work that I have to do, I enjoy doing the work that I do, but in spite of that, I try to spend quality time with myself. So that has got no connection with whether I have to earn money or whether I do not have to earn money. So whether it's with or without money, I think spending quality time with your own self is so very important and vital.
Yeah, you're right. I completely agree with the fact which you said. So, does anyone inspires you in life?
Yes.
And who?
My greatest inspiration is Lord Krishna.
Okay.
And he is not only God to me, he is my friend, he's my philosopher, he's my guide, and he's everything.
Okay, that's great to know. So, I would like to know what are your future goals? Where do you see yourself in next 5 years?
I don't know about next 5 years, but definitely I would like to continue the work that I'm doing currently, trying to reimagine education, trying to redefine education, trying to make education meaningful and productive for the future generation. And that is something that I would like to continue.
Okay, that's great to know. All the best for it, Shauli. So, Shauli, any advice for those who are like looking forward to be in a leadership position?
I have a very, very simple message for all the prospective and would-be leaders. I myself have believed in this and have followed it throughout my life that a leader is the one who knows the way, who shows the way, and who goes the way.
Yeah,
So I
that's
believe it's very, very vital to remember that it's not only knowing, maybe you know better, maybe you can demonstrate and show better, but a great leader is the one who has that propensity to go the way and to do that stuff by showing the team members that this is how a particular thing is done. So you have to lead by example. You have to demonstrate through example, and that is what a true leader is all about.
That's right. So, what's one piece of advice would you like to give to my listeners?
Well, I would just like to say that no matter whatever you do, or no matter whatever you would like to do, always ask yourself a very, very small yet very important question. And that is why. The why is very important because the answer to the why will give you the purpose for which you would like to do something. So the moment you get the purpose for your life, life becomes a completely different experience altogether. So you need to ask this question. Whenever you're trying to do something, please ask yourself, why would I like to do what I would like to do? So this why is something which is very, very important. It gives the direction to your life. It gives an aim to your life. It renders a purpose and meaning to your life.
It was great talking with you. I really enjoyed talking with you. Here is a small gesture from me to you.
Thank you.
Okay, Shauli. So, would you like to say something in the end?
Well, I would just like to say, Laiba, you're doing a wonderful work and just continue doing it. And by spreading inspiration, I think, what can be more wonderful than that? I have all my best wishes for you and continue doing the great work that you have been doing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next episode of it.
That's what I'm saying, that with or without money, enough time to spend, in the way in which you would like the time to be spent for yourself.